Top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. urges Filipinos to embody Dr. Jose Rizal's patriotism and perseverance as the country marks the 126th anniversary of the national hero's passing. The Department of Agriculture provides lower onion price at the Kadiwa store in Central Office. Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board extends validity of special permit issued to buses to ensure enough units for returning travelers. And the United Kingdom government reviews restrictions or COVID checks for travelers coming from China after the announcement of ending the zero COVID policy. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Friday, the 30th of December 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am William Theo. First in the news, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. urged Filipinos to embody Dr. Jose Rizal's patriotism and perseverance as the country marks the 126th anniversary of the hero's passing. Nel Maribuhok reports.
In a ceremony at the Rizal Park in the city of Manila, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. led the flag-raising ceremony where he was assisted by his wife, First Lady Luis Lisa Araneta Marcos, and presidential sons Ilocos Norte 1st District Representative Sandro Marcos, Joseph Simon, and William Vincent Marcos. This was followed by wreath laying at the Rizal National Monument. In his message, President Marcos Jr. called on Filipinos to continue to embody the virtues of excellence, patriotism, and perseverance that Rizal demonstrated throughout his life. He added that despite the threat of persecution, Rizal helped enlighten Filipinos about injustice, corruption, and oppression they suffered at the hands of their colonizers. Not through a violent uprising, but through a peaceful protest using the power of the pen. PBBM also told Filipinos to reflect on the kind of life that we want to live. The chief executive said true heroism does not only mean offering your life for your country, but also fighting your own silent battles and working with your own capacities to bring about a better future. After the event in Luneta Park, President Marcos Jr. honored overseas Filipino workers or OFWs and promised to ensure their welfare and interest, even that of their families in the Philippines. According to the President, the Department of Migrant Workers has been working to provide benefits to the families of Filipino overseas workers.
Ay ngayon ay hindi lamang natin tinitignan ang mismong mga OFW, ang mismong mga nagtatrabaho sa abroad, kung hindi pati na ang inyong mga pamilya. At kasama na siguro dyan ay pinag-uusapan po natin ay yung pabahay, yung mga scholarship program, yung mga iba't ibang serbisyo at benepisyo na ibibigay natin. Dahil alam naman namin na kayo'y nagsasakripisyo at napakalaking bagay ng inyong ng bunga ng inyong sakripisyo, hindi lamang para sa inyong mga pamilya, hindi lamang para sa inyong mga komunidad, kung hindi para sa buong Pilipinas.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Senator Hontiveros stated on Friday, December 30, that the Philippine government must treat the new surge of severe COVID-19 cases in China seriously, and business as usual should not be an option. This after President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. mentioned he is open to imposing additional restrictions on Chinese travelers. She suggested that the interagency task force study and review restrictions now that there is an influx of tourists. Hontiveros has emphasized the need for the interagency task force to study and review restrictions in time for the influx of tourists and before the president leaves for the China state visit. She added that the Marcos administration must set additional layers of health and security protocols for the expected arrival of tourists in the country this year-end season. Earlier, Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA Assistant Secretary Nathaniel Imperial has previously said that a bubble arrangement has been planned for the Philippine delegation of the upcoming state visit of the President on January 3 to 5 upon the invitation of Chinese President Xi Jinping. PBBM stated on Thursday, December 29, that the Department of Health would need to study the risk of a possible new wave of infections coming from China. Hontiveros urged the frontliners, especially in the travel industry, to strictly implement health protocols and to obtain full vaccination and get boosted for their protection. She said the most effective way to protect Filipinos from COVID-19 and its new variants is to guard national borders. In other news, newly harvested onions are now available at Kadiwa stores in Metro Manila. Meanwhile, the Department of Agriculture will strictly monitor the compliance of retailers on the commodity suggested retail price or SRP. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
Consumers fall in line early this Friday morning, December 30, at the Kadiwa store in Central Office of the Department of Agriculture or DA in Quezon City. This is to avail the onion that are being sold for only 170 pesos per kilogram. DA Assistant Secretary Cristina Evangelista said that this is part of the government's intervention for consumers to have option amid the high price of onion in markets that already reach more than 700 pesos per kilogram.
Ito po yung new harvest galing sa Nueva Ecija dahil nga walang mga middleman, tsaka ito po ay government na po ang tumutulong para mapababa ang presyo. Yung cost po napababa din natin dahil merong mga subsidies.
DA will also conduct caravan of onion with the Kadiwa on wheels that will go around different cities in Metro Manila. Meanwhile, DA will link farmers to markets so that price of onion would comply with the suggested retail price that was set to 250 pesos per kilogram.
That's our attempt to make yung presyo po sana lahat ng mga tindera sa palengke kumuha dun sa mga suppliers na ibibigay natin para makabenta sila within the SRP.
The SRP will last until the first week of January, wherein harvest of onion is expected to increase. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Chinese Embassy in Manila has announced on Friday, December 30, that they will donate 1 million pesos as relief assistance to victims of the massive rains and flash floods in Misamis Occidental due to shear line. Chinese Ambassador Wang Xilian said the amount would be added for relief operations in the area and hoped that it would reach the affected individuals in need soon. He added that by working together hand in hand, China and the Philippines can overcome any hurdle. Based on the tally of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council or NDRRMC, the reported deaths from massive rains in Misamis Occidental has increased to 44, while 12 others were hurt and 28 more remained missing. Meanwhile, 6 fatalities have been reported in the Bicol region, Eastern Visayas with 3 deaths, 4 in Zamboanga Peninsula, Northern Mindanao with 24, 4 in Davao, and 3 in Caraga region. A Filipino historian says that there were some legacies by our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal. But there was a great legacy that we must realize even up to this time. Meanwhile, how do Filipinos really know Rizal nowadays? Dante Amento has the story.
We commemorate the 126th death anniversary of our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal, this Friday, December 30. Professor Xiao Chua, a known Filipino historian, explained that Rizal showed the essence of unity during the colonial era for his love to the country. And this is still applicable in our time. We as nation must observe unity to attain real progress.
Siya bilang isang nobelista, diba, manunulat, makata, at doktor ng mata, diba, ay ginamit ang lahat ng ito sa pagsisilbi sa bayan. At hindi lang yun, pagkaisahin. So pupunta ako sa number 2, unity. Unity, pagkaisahin ng mga Pilipino. Dahil dati, hindi man nagkakaisa ang kaisipan nila. O, na pinakita ni Rizal, iisa ang ating pinagmulan, tapos iisa ang ating problema, magkaisa tayo.
Chua added, we can show love for our country by doing our obligations and not just to rely on the government.
Magtanim at magnegosyo. Pinakita ni Rizal na hindi ang pag-ibig sa bayan ay yung pagpapaunlad din sa sarili mo. Ibig sabihin, gawin mo ang mabuting Pilipino ka na mayroong negosyo, nag-aaral, nagtatrabaho, at ikaw ay nakakatulong sa bayan.
We can criticize the government, but we have also to consider how we can contribute for our development rather than just critical to those in authority.
Pag tinignan mo si Rizal, ginamit niya yung kapangyarihan ng salita laban sa makapangyarihan. Di ba? Hindi sa kapwa mong Pilipino walang kalaban-laban. Kaya tayo nagkakaroon ng pagkakawatak-watak na yun dahil dyan.
Meanwhile, Filipinos nowadays, particularly those in younger generation, may not know Rizal as what our
Day po.
Ano pa bang pagka sinabing Rizal Day, ano pa bang pagkakilala nyo kay Rizal?
Bayani po. Bayani po si Rizal.
Bakit po?
Kasi po pinagtanggol niya po yung Pilipinas.
Pinagtanggol niya ang Pilipinas sa anong paraan?
Uy, JD, ikaw sumagot. Ito po isa dyan po ito.
Bayani ho ng Pilipinas.
Ano hong nagawa ni Rizal?
Pinagtanggol niya ho yung mga Pilipino sa kamay ng mga Espanya.
Sa kamay ng Espanya, paano ho?
Tatay.
Nalimutan ko eh.
Sino si Pepe?
Hindi ko kilala yun ho.
Si Di Masalang?
Hindi rin ho.
Si Laong Laan po?
May na po ako sa mga ganyan. Mathematics lang ako.
Ano ho ate, pag sinasabing Rizal Day, ano ho pumapasok sa isip niyo?
Kaarawan ni Rizal, Jose Rizal.
Kaarawan ho ba o
Death anniversary.
kaarawan ho, death anniversary?
Alam ko death anniversary.
So hindi kaarawan po.
Oho.
Merong inaalala natin pagka December 30.
Ay, Christmas, mga pagkain.
Sino ho si Dr. Jose Rizal?
Hindi ko po alam eh.
Si Dr. Jose Rizal ho, di nyo kilala?
Hindi ko kilala eh.
But through education and continuous teaching on Rizal's legacies in educational institutions, his legacies will live forever in our hearts and minds.
Sino ho si Pepe?
Si Dr. Jose Rizal.
Si ano po, si Laong Laan, sino ho yun?
Si Dr. Jose Rizal din po. Pen name niya lang po yun.
Paano po ba tayo pinagtanggol ni Rizal?
Ano po, sa pagsusulat niya po ng mga akda po, laban po sa mga, ano man tawag doon, parang mga pari po dati, ganun. Tsaka po sa government.
Sir Rizal is?
Oh, I know he's like a local hero. Right, I think he was involved with getting free from the Spanish rule. Maybe the brains behind it or something. Is that?
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Philippine National Police, or PNP, on Friday shares plans to deploy police officers to villages to augment the number of village watchmen and monitor possible untoward incidents and the use of firecrackers during the year-end revelries. PNP spokesperson Colonel Jean Fajardo stated that they already coordinated with local government units, or LGUs, since November to monitor fireworks displays in the courtyards of barangays, which are not often visited by the police during the season. Fajardo shared that they have placed policemen in the barangays to serve as supervisors of the force multipliers. She said that by doing so, some possible violators would see the uniformed policemen walking around and would hesitate a little because allegedly some individuals don't pay attention if they only see force multipliers. Fajardo calls on the public to avoid lighting firecrackers outside their residences because they will be arrested in accordance with Executive Order Number 28, which prohibits residential and personal use of fireworks and other pyrotechnic devices. The EO 28 also mandates the use of common fireworks display areas and the ordinances of each cities and municipalities. This order, which was signed by former President Rodrigo Duterte in 2017, promulgates stricter rules and regulations on the use of firecrackers and other pyrotechnic devices with the intention of preventing injuries and casualties. Arrested violators will be charged under Republic Act 7183, or the act regulating the sale, manufacture, distribution, and use of firecrackers and other pyrotechnic devices. Fajardo reported that as of 6:30 a.m. today, 9 individuals have been arrested in relation to illegal possession, use, or sale of firecrackers. Around 27,829 pieces of firecrackers with an estimated value of 361,968 pesos were confiscated during the said operation.
And for our news abroad, researchers have found the alarming trend of an increasing rate of people under the age of 20 in the United States who are expected to receive a diabetes diagnosis by 2016. Ruth Bahe tells us why live. Yes, Ruth?
Good evening, Kath. Study says if current trends continue, there will be a nearly 700% increase in youth with type 2 diabetes and 65% with type 1 diabetes diagnosed in the next 40 years in the United States. The rise in type 2 diabetes may have several causes, including the surging rate of obesity and due to the presence of diabetes in women of childbearing age, according to Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Type 1 diabetes is a genetic condition in which the pancreas makes little or no insulin, and it is more common in young people in the U.S. While type 2 is mostly related to lifestyle in which your body does not use insulin properly. Nerve damage, eye and hearing problems, kidney and heart disease, and early death are among the complications of this disease that occur quickly in young people than in adults. Dr. Deborah Oury, Acting Principal Deputy Director of the CDC, said in a statement that the new research serves as a wake-up call for everyone. We must focus our efforts on ensuring that all Americans, especially youth, are as healthy as possible. Furthermore, Christopher Holliday, Director of the agency's Division of Diabetes Translation, emphasizes the need to advance health equity and reduce the widespread disparities that already have a negative impact on people's health. Along with the general predictions, type 2 diabetes is more common in young people who are Black, Hispanic, Asian, Pacific Islander, Native American, and Alaska Native. Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Ruth Bahe, reporting live from Vietnam. The Italian government tightens their measures for charities who rescue asylum seekers at sea, which could result to a €50,000 fine or a possible impoundment of their ships. The cabinet decree states that these ships should request a port and sail it without delay after a rescue, instead of remaining at sea to look for other boats that need help, or the charities would face the consequences. It also states that the ships of the non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, must inform those on board that they can ask for international protection anywhere in the European Union. The new rule could possibly endanger the lives of thousands of people and would make it more difficult for the rescue ships to carry out multiple rescues. Currently, the mission of these charities, or NGOs, is to stay several days in the central Mediterranean to complete different rescue operations and take hundreds of people on board. The Italian government has targeted the activities of the sea rescue charities since Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni took office in October and accused them of helping the work of human traffickers, but the charities denied the allegations. About 102,000 asylum seekers arrived in Italy this year, according to Interior Ministry data, and only about 10% of those were brought by NGO boats. We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, William.
Yes, thank you, Kath. Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board extends validity of special permits issued to buses to ensure enough units for returning travelers. JP Nunez will tell us why.
The special permit issued to bus companies to ensure enough units this holiday season is set to expire on January 3, 2023. However, to give more chances for the passengers to get ride weeks after the year end, the board decided to extend its validity until January 15, 2023. Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board Chairman Chofilo Guadis III states that this is intended to give convenience and comfort to the commuting public. As of yesterday, there are more than 800 units of bus granted with special permit from the LTFRB. The board also said they will continue to monitor and deploy personnel to integrated terminal exchange and identified bus terminals until the first week of January next year. This to ensure the safety of travelers who are expectedly returning from holiday vacation next week. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the Department of Health, or DOH, on Thursday, December 29, inspected some large hospitals in Metro Manila that would attend to patients or victims of gunshot or firecracker incidents. The DOH visits include the Jose R. Reyes Memorial Medical Center, East Avenue Medical Center, and Amang Rodriguez Medical Center. According to DOH Officer in Charge Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere, the said hospitals are all set in case the number of possible injuries will increase this year. At the East Avenue Medical Center, doctors showed how to cut a part of the body that could be exploded by gunshot. Hospital medical equipment such as bone hammer, hand cutter, skin cutter, wound cleaner, and other equipment are ready. Meanwhile, DOH clarified that the hospital will treat firecracker-related injuries separately from other patients such as accidents so that they can be provided with medical attention quickly. Based on DOH data, as of December 29, they have recorded 41 firecracker-related injuries. In relation to this, DOH again appeals to local government units and other government agencies to help implement the ordinances and laws regarding the limitation of the use of fireworks during the year-end revelries.
So far, so good, no? Very well prepared ang mga ospital natin. Nakita natin, we started with Jose Reyes. Nakita natin lahat ng instrumento maaari natin magamit. Nakita natin they have preserved the operating rooms because we are in code white alert.
In other news, the Philippine Animal Welfare Society appealed to the public to protect pets from firecrackers and fireworks as the year 2023 approaches. Janice Inhente will tell us why.
Philippine Animal Welfare Society, or PAWS, stressed that exposure to firecracker and fireworks can harm pets, especially cats and dogs, that have a highly developed sense of hearing. According to the group, the hearing of animals is 400 times more sensitive compared to humans. PAWS emphasized that the noise and unpredictability of firecracker and fireworks can cause severe fear and anxiety not only to pets but to other types of animals. They may also show other signs of anxiety like restlessness, panting, pacing, or whining. Aside from severe stress, fumes from firecrackers can cause suffocation to pets. That is why PAWS appealed to the public to refrain from lighting firecrackers and fireworks during year-end celebration for the safety not only of human beings but also of animals.
Mas apektado yung animals kasi 400 times mas sensitive ang hearing ng dogs kesa sa humans. So ngayon, pag nakarinig sila ng putok, parang explosion na katabi nila. So maraming mga dogs na trauma tumatakbo, nawawala from their houses. Sana wag nakatali tas nasa labas kasi may mga reports kaming natatanggap na nasasakal yung mga aso and then namamatay sila sa sobrang panic. Talagang tinatry nilang kumawala dun sa tali. Very deadly din ang mga fumes sa mga other animals like birds. Kung meron tayong mga hamsters, kuneho, ang talagang general rule is to keep them inside your home.
Meanwhile, PAWS also advised owners on how to minimize stress for their pets if their place or neighborhood will not be free from the use of firecracker and fireworks. First, walk them before the fireworks start. Keep your dog away from fireworks. Create a safe haven for your pets at home. Play white noise or music to help mask the sounds of fireworks. And make sure your pet has proper identification in case it will freak out and escape your home.
Pag nasa loob po ng bahay ang ating pets, pwede nyong ma-lessen yung impact ng firecracker sounds by playing soft music na magsaserve as white noise sa ating mga alaga. Kung hindi man aso, kunwari mga alagang ibon or cats, basta in a place that is far away as possible from the loudest firecracker noise, and yung mapoprotektahan sila from the fumes nung mga firecrackers.
If your pet's anxiety is triggered due to the noise of firecrackers and fireworks, try calming them with an anti-anxiety of Ace bandage wrap that hits key pressure points for fast and effective relief. Place center bandage at your pet's chest, cross ends under pet's belly, tie ends away from spine. Janice and Hente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC, reported on Friday, December 30, that the death toll from the massive rains and floods caused by the shear line in many parts of the country has climbed to 44. Based on NDRRMC data, 13 reported deaths have been confirmed, including 4 from the Davao region and 3 each from the regions of Eastern Visayas, Zamboanga Peninsula, and Caraga. Meanwhile, the remaining 31 fatalities are still undergoing validation. This include 24 deaths from the northern Mindanao region, 6 died from Bicol, and 1 was recorded from the Zamboanga Peninsula. NDRRMC also reported 12 injuries, with 2 confirmed cases from the Zamboanga Peninsula and Davao region. Around 28 persons were also reported missing in the affected areas. Authorities shared around 4,522 houses got damaged due to the massive rains and floods in Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, Davao Region, Caraga, Mimaropa, Western Visayas, Eastern Visayas, Northern Mindanao, and the Zamboanga Peninsula.
As recent floods heighten the risk of mosquito-borne diseases, health officials in Australia are warning people against the dangers of the DIY insect repellent trend. Marvy Dauphin details why live. Marvy?
Australian health authorities are particularly concerned following reports of people producing their own insect repellents using commercially available chemicals, which can be unsafe if used in incorrect concentrations. This after another case of the Japanese encephalitis virus was recorded in South Australia, as well as in the Queensland state and New South Wales. Dr. Robert Grenfell from Grampians Public Health says, while there hasn't been any significant activity of Ross River, Barmah Forest, and Japanese encephalitis at this stage, safe prevention is key. Dr. Grenfell further states that vitamin preparations and essential oils such as citronella and lavender should be avoided and not be mixed with rubbing alcohol, as they are ineffective repellents. Instead, it is recommended to purchase insect repellents over the counter from pharmacies or supermarket shelves, as these have been approved by the Therapeutic Goods Administration, or TGA. Additionally, other prevention measures are encouraged, such as clearing areas with stagnant water and minimizing the chances of mosquitoes breeding. Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Marvy Dauphin, reporting live from Australia. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu returns for his sixth term but is expected to face several challenges. Jane Robles will give us the details live. Good evening, Jane.
Good evening, Kath. Benjamin Netanyahu began on Thursday, December 29, his sixth term as Israel's prime minister after being forced out of power last year by a coalition between his political oppositions. But before the election in November, the coalition that forced him out collapsed, giving Netanyahu's party and allies once again the majority of the parliament. In a meeting with the cabinet, Netanyahu detailed his priorities, which would include stopping Iran's nuclear program, strengthening the country's law and order, and to combat the country's high cost of living. Most importantly, he added that the government aims to expand the West Bank settlements by legalizing illegally built outposts and fully take over the occupied territory from Palestine. However, Israel's closest allies, including the United States, opposes the idea and says that it could spark tensions with the Palestinians as well as contradict mutual interest between the U.S. and Israel. U.S. President Joe Biden said that he looks forward to working with Netanyahu's new government, but assured that the U.S. will continue to support the two-state solution that will enable Palestine to become an independent state. Netanyahu is the longest-serving prime minister of the country, totaling to 15 years in the office. This time, he would have to lead the most nationalist and religiously conservative government in the country's history. Back to you, Cass.
Thank you, Jane Robles, for that live report. After China announced that they will effectively end the zero COVID policy, the UK government is reviewing whether they should put in place restrictions for travelers coming from China. From London, United Kingdom, here's Joanna Ochoa to tell us the details live. Joanna?
There has been a surge in COVID cases after China decided to end the zero COVID policy. As a response, countries like India, Japan, and Italy have now enforced testing on arrival for travelers from China. This led to the United Kingdom government also considering whether they should impose restrictions on visitors coming from China. The UK Health Minister during the pandemic, Lord Bethell, says that adopting the policies from different countries is a sensible thing to do. However, the Scottish Government states that they have no plans to change the travel requirements and continue to work with the UK Health Security, along with other countries, to monitor the spread of harmful variants. Meanwhile, the European Union's disease agency argues that screening travellers from China for COVID would be unjustified as the surge in cases is not expected to make an impact. Furthermore, Beijing's foreign ministry accuses the Western countries and media for hyping up the situation and that COVID rules should only be initiated on a scientific basis. There have been concerns that a new variant may arise in China and that international travel could spread it quickly. Science experts, however, confirmed that so far there are no worrying new variants. Kath?
Thank you, Joanna Ochoa, reporting live from London, United Kingdom. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I'm Kat Dumaraos, live from Bangkok, Thailand. Good evening.
Our Kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity from Monday to Friday, 9:30 p.m. Philippine time through the social media accounts of Members Church of God International. And before we close, we will leave you with a word giving glory to God from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 10. It says, I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. those are the reasons behind the news December 30, 2022. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.